We've got issues. I've got issues.
I've got some issues.
I've got issues is the name of this
segment.
Thank you. Couldn't think of the word. So, Chris, you put this on the script.
I did.
I agree with you, by the way, on your issue. But why don't you tell your issue to the people?
Yeah, guys, I've got some issues. So Rob and I, obviously, like, you know, this isn't the only time we talk to you guys. You know, we're prepping the show. We talk about stuff. If we read a really good comic, sometimes we call each other and have to, like, be like, oh, my God, this happened. So an issue we've had for a while has kind of been building up. And I also put this on because I also talked to this about comic creators as well. Like, I've talked to the comic community about this. I talked to David Finch about this at Boston. I talked to Pete Tomasi himself about this for, like, you know, quick minute or two.
Yeah.
So in DC, Jonathan Kent, who is the son of Superman,
Yes.
has been a great character for about 4 years now.
Yep. He came out, he first appeared in 2015 in the Convergence series, Superman issue number 2, created by the man, the myth, the legend, Dan Jurgens.
Yes, Dan Jurgens, the 90s Superman himself. He killed Superman, brought him back to life.
And gave him a kid.
So, in that storyline, basically, the original Superman, it was during the New 52 era. The original Superman was on this, like, parallel universe stuck where he had no powers, and he lived in this town, so him and Lois conceived a son. He didn't have his Kryptonian powers, so Lois was able to conceive.
Smart.
Then he gets brought back into the DC universe where his powers come back. John also gets his powers back.
Question. If he's holding kryptonite, can he conceive?
Possibly. I don't know. If he's sick. No, that would.
No, it wouldn't matter.
That's killing him, though.
No, I don't think it's the him part. I think it's the pregnancy part. I think she would need to have kryptonite, but that'll make the boy sick.
Well, not green. He would have to be blue.
Blue's neutral.
Blue takes his powers away, but it doesn't hurt him.
So they would need blue.
Blue makes him human.
So if. Yeah, but like it's not really the issue. Kind of like with Homelander, which we talked about in the previous segment. Her having a baby. It's really the baby needs to have the blue, not really Superman.
If the powers, the question is if the powers manifest through growing in the belly and not post.
So she need to wear like a blue,
like a blue necklace or something,
blue kryptonite necklace or a belt.
Yeah,
make some stretchy pants out of them.
But yeah, that would be the question, right? But anyway, so Dan Jurgens created Superboy, John Kent, and he was a great character. Soon after that, you know, Jurgens was writing Action Comics. Pete Tomasi was writing Superman, which is it's a great Superman run. Superman kind of focused more on the family aspect, and John Kent was a big part of that, and he was about 10 to 12 years old.
Yeah.
Same age, kind of, well, a little bit younger, but around the same age as Damian. So that created a really cool dynamic. Went off, and then they did a Super Sons story.
Which, by the way, Damian and John's relationship together, young kids, in their father's footsteps, it's fantastic. Like to see the interplay between them, and the fact that we both know, and like readers know when you read it, like, oh, that's future Batman and future Robin at a young age working together, and they're going to be probably better than their parents. Yeah, when they grow up.
Like, because John is already stronger. Like he's basically half human. He's half human and half Kryptonian. So some of the weaknesses aren't as bad. Like Kryptonite he's still weak against, but it's not going to be like full on Kryptonian.
And also he absorbs sun much better because of the human part of it.
Yeah, he's used to the atmosphere already. He's born in this atmosphere. So, you know, that was a great dynamic. It added a layer to Superman raising his son on Earth. This young character. We get through Pete Tomasi's run. He kind of takes John and throws him into the stratosphere, right? We have these cool arcs with, like, Manchester Black, Super Sons, where the arc where he tries to join the Teen Titans and they deny him, and he's like...
Because he's too young.
He's too young, and he's so distraught.
Damian consoles him. He's like, listen, man, don't worry. Soon you're going to be on the team.
And then him and Damian kind of have their own adventure. The issue with Batman, like... how do we know he's not turning? How do we know he's okay? Like the classic Batman trope of like, we have another powered Kryptonian. Like, this is not a celebration. This is a problem if he's unchecked.
And I can't wait for him to join. Well, at the time, I couldn't wait for him to eventually join the Teen Titans.
Exactly.
But that gets us to our issue now.
Yes. So our issue now is,
Brian Michael Bendis.
Well, once we had Bendis come on, and we knew Bendis was going to come in and do Superman, and it was announced he's taking over all the Superman titles, we knew there was going to be some changes.
Yeah.
What we didn't know was that he was going to basically take John Kent, throw him in through this story, kind of not talk about him, and then bring him back just to get to Legion of Superheroes.
So when they put him in that side story, he went with his grandfather, which I don't even like the fact that Superman's original father came back from Krypton. He didn't die, but he apparently that's a thing. And he took Jonathan, took him on a space adventure to help him grow and be whatever. Lois went with him for a little bit and left. And then Jonathan comes back and he's 16 years old.
Yeah.
And he looks weird. And he doesn't act the same. It's terrible.
But yeah, it was a very like quick decision. Like, we're aging John because I want to have a Superboy in Legion.
Legion of Superheroes.
Yeah,
the future team.
So the Legion of Superheroes is going to be spinning out of the Superman book, creating its own book. There hasn't been a Legion book in a long time. There's a huge following for Legion. That's all fine. What isn't fine, and which is why I have some issues with it, is
the writing is terrible with Jonathan.
The direction is terrible with Jonathan, because you had Jurgens create this character. Pete Tomasi gives that character a ton of respect, makes it almost his own. And then you have Bendis come in, who Bendis is a really good writer, but Bendis is also Bendis, so he likes what he likes, and he likes to do what he wants to do.
That's the perfect way. He does what he wants to do without dealing with the ramifications of certain things.
Yeah, and so,
like this is one. I think that, like you said, a lot of people are very upset that the fact that Jonathan's aged up.
Yeah,
like I'm reading comments online when books come out and stuff like that. That's all you see flooded. Everybody's disappointed. I stopped reading Superman. Because of it. Like, one, I'm not really a big fan of the Road to Luxor arc. But two, the fact every time I see Jonathan, my stomach turns, and I'm like, all right, this is not who he is.
Yeah.
You're doing this just so you have somebody in the Legion of Superheroes, so you could write Legion of Superheroes, so you could do more things to get more money. Like, that's how I feel. I felt like it was a greed thing. Maybe it's not.
Well, I think it's... I don't think it's more money, because I think they already had that set when they brought him over.
They probably did.
But I think what it is it's... I want to do this. It's what we talk about all the time. Writing a book as a preview for another book instead of focusing on that book and character.
That's exactly what Superman is.
So, like, if you take Action is completely different than the Superman book.
Action, it's such a good book.
Great book.
He's doing phenomenal work with it.
Bendis is on it as well. He's
but there's no Jonathan.
Focused on it. Well, yeah, it's more the solo book now. They kind of switched it. Action's more the solo, Superman's more the family book.
Which is fine.
That's fine. But, so Superman, it's in issue like 14 or 15 now. It's now become
hot garbage.
It's become a book where it's not so much about, Superman stories there, but then it just cuts to a point where it's like, now we're going to focus on pushing John to this Legion. And, I get it. Like, you want a Superboy in the Legion of Superheroes. It's how it's always been. Connor Kent is now in the Young Justice book, and he wasn't around for a long time, which Bendis is also writing Young Justice, which is also a really good book.
Very good book.
Now, you have Connor in that book, obviously also because he's in Titans in the TV show, he's in Young Justice.
It works.
You want that continuity with your, now everything's continuity with TV.
They should have just friggin' take Supergirl and put her in there.
Supergirl used to be in the Legion, yes.
I know.
I actually like Supergirl in the Superman book with the Rogolzar stuff, because she actually is doing things where it's like, I've been trying to figure out if everything Rogolzar's saying is true, and Jor-El's saying is true. She's actually investigating things.
I get it.
But when you take a character like John Kent, who you just started growing, it's a 4-year-old character, it's not that long. You're just starting to grow him, you're making him his own, he's getting his own following. Like Damian, he needs time to grow. Then you stop and just say, let's just age him up so I can put him in Legion. It's going to leave a bad taste in a lot of fans' mouths.
It tastes like doo-doo.
But also, so, like, again, talking to Pete Tomasi, I'm like, I literally, like, passed him by when I was saying hello, and I was like, hey, how do you feel about what's going on with John right now? And obviously they're never going to be like,
it's terrible.
I hate it. Because again,
they can't.
It's a coworker. They're not going to talk bad about a coworker.
I will.
But yeah, you don't work at DC. So
I would.
But you could tell Pete was really upset what they did, because he did the Super Sons thing, and then he did Adventures of Super Sons, which is another 12-issue series. So, like, you could tell in his face, it kind of felt like he built up this character for almost no reason. Talking to David Finch, phenomenal artist, one of the best. He worked with Bendis on Avengers back in the early 2000s. I was talking about, like, hey, who would you want to work with? And he's like, I'd love to work with Brian again. Like, that would be great. And I'm like, And he was like, I love what he's doing with like the Superman mythos and stuff. I was like, but the John stuff kind of like messy. And he was like, yeah, I probably wouldn't want to touch that. Like stuff like there's little like hints here and there of like people are kind of just like, you could tell this is kind of shipping to Legion. Like, I loved Snyder and Capullo's Batman, the Batman Who Laughs series. I thought it was really dark and gritty until the ending arc kind of just made it a prequel for Batman Superman.
I would have rather if the whole direction of the book was that.
Like just the prequel to Batman
Superman?
And
all right, because it kind of felt like it was trying to be its own series.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really working as that. Mm-hmm. And then towards the end, when it was kind of being a prequel for that, kind of did a little bit better. But like the whole arc, the whole story, I didn't like. I was like, all right, this.
Oh, sorry, not Capullo, Jock.
Yeah, Jock.
But Last Night on Earth is great.
Last Night on Earth is fantastic.
Justice League is really good. It's basically an event book in its own book. But, again, when you're talking about series, when you're making a series or a mini-series and it's not its own, like, if I'm going to pick up a mini-series, that means I'm picking it up on top of everything I'm already getting. You know what I mean? It's an extra investment. It's more money. I'm picking this up for the team or who's writing it, who's drawing it, or the character. It has to have its own story, beginning, middle, end. If it's just like a prologue to this other series or this, almost like throwing it away.
It leaves you a dirty taste in your mouth.
Yeah, and we, with Bendis, we talked about this a lot. The Leviathan Rising, which I'm thinking that 96-pager with this huge book was basically a preview for Event Leviathan.
That makes sense, though.
True. But I'm thinking, like, all right, this is going to be the beginning of this Superman arc that's going to go into this, like, but then it broke it down to, like, oh, no, this is a preview for Jimmy Olsen. This is a preview for Lois Lane. This is to sell more books.
Yeah.
Which, obviously,
they have to
I get it. It's comics. It's a business. You have to sell more stuff. I just think it's the way they do it.